Let's go across the big story Vishnu has been reporting. That really is of the Chinese foreign minister who arrived in India on a visit which was kept secret, apparently, as India said today, Vishnu, because China wanted the visit kept secret. And what actually came out of all that?
Well, Sonia, what's clear at the conclusion of the talks between India and China is that a chasm exists between New Delhi and Beijing on the biggest issue that exists between the two countries, Ladakh. And this is evident in statements made by the two foreign ministers separately. Now, China has called for win-win thinking and an attitude of cooperation. India, for its part, says bilateral relations have been disturbed as a result of Chinese actions since 2020. That's what India has actually had to say. China says put the differences on the border issue in an appropriate position in bilateral relations and stick to the correct developmental direction of bilateral relations. Now, we are saying the frictions and tensions that arise from China's deployment since April 2020 cannot be reconciled with a normal relationship. Beijing says China and India pose no threat to each other and there are opportunities for development. Delhi's position: tensions in the border areas have impacted the relationship since peace and tranquility have been the foundation of stable ties. Finally, China says if China and India work together, the whole world will pay attention. The Chinese speak of the need to inject more positive energy into global governance. But India's foreign minister says, I laid out India's principled approach to international relations based on respect for international law, the UN Charter, and sovereignty and the territorial integrity of states. So, if you were asking just why did Wang Yi come to New Delhi in the first place if there was no intent to resolve the basic issue of Ladakh, it's perhaps true to say that many in our foreign policy establishment are also wondering about the same thing. In fact, that's the route which has been followed by Wang Yi. He was in Islamabad, he travelled to Kabul, then he came to India after that, and now he is in Nepal. So, what did he really achieve here in India? Perhaps not very much. If the hope was that the Chinese foreign minister Wang Yi was here to announce military de-escalation in Ladakh, that clearly did not happen. With Foreign Minister Jaishankar making it clear once again that no military de-escalation meant no return to normalcy.
If you ask me, is our relationship normal today? My answer to you is no, it is not. And it cannot be normal if the situation in the border areas is abnormal. And surely the presence of a large number of troops there in contravention of agreements is abnormality.
Describing his talks as honest, the foreign minister said unilateral Chinese efforts to change the status quo in disputed areas was unacceptable and that friction remained because of Chinese military deployments.
The impact of the tension in the border areas on the overall relationship has been visible in the last 2 years. This is only natural since peace and tranquility in the border areas have been the foundation of stable and cooperative ties. Indeed, we have agreements that were designed explicitly to strengthen this foundation and prevent the kind of situation that we are seeing today. I was very honest in my discussions with Chinese Foreign Minister, especially in conveying our national sentiments on this issue. The frictions and tensions that arise from China's deployment since April 2020 cannot be reconciled with a normal relationship between two neighbors.
China's own statement has no mention of disengagement in Ladakh and says the two sides should adhere to the strategic judgment of the leaders of the two countries that China and India pose no threat to each other and are opportunities for development. Put the differences on the border issue at an appropriate position in bilateral relations and stick to the correct development direction of bilateral relations. Earlier in the day, government sources indicated that the National Security Advisor had been invited by Beijing to continue with the process of talks. Ajit Doval, who also met Wang Yi today, said that could happen only if immediate issues are resolved successfully. The Chinese foreign minister had flown into Delhi from Kabul last night on a hush-hush visit. India today said that secrecy over the visit was at the request of Beijing. If there was anything that resembled a breakthrough in the talks, it was that India and China continue to believe in the need for discourse. But in terms of specifics, there was no announcement of a schedule or timeline of military disengagement in Ladakh. Vishnu Shom for NDTV.